Hey everyone, and welcome. So today we're doing something a little different. We are going to totally skip the glossy brochures, the fancy ads, and all those sponsored videos to find out what real owners, the people who actually ride this thing every single day, really think about the Suzuki V-Strom 250 SX. We have dug through literally hundreds of Reddit posts to get you the real, unvarnished truth.
This comment right here, it just hits the nail on the head. This is exactly what we're trying to do. We're tapping into the massive brain of the internet to get you a real-world review completely free from any marketing spin. This is all about the authentic, lived experiences from riders who have put some serious kilometers on the clock.
All right, so let's get into it. What's the real story here? Is this bike some kind of underrated gem, or is it a compromised machine that's got some pretty serious flaws? Well, the internet, as you'd expect, has a lot of opinions, so let's break it all down.
Okay, first things first, let's set the stage. Suzuki sells the V-Strom 250 SX as a sports adventure tour. It comes with that big promise of legendary Japanese reliability, a go-anywhere attitude, and it's part of that iconic V-Strom family. That's the official story anyway.
But right away, we hit the main issue, the central conflict. This one sentence from a guy who's owned the bike for a while, it just pops up over and over and over again in different ways. It perfectly captures the biggest debate around this bike. There's this huge gap between what's promised in the ads and the actual reality of owning it. So what's really going on here? Let's kick things off with what owners absolutely love. Because look, despite that whole identity crisis, there is a ton of love for what this bike does well, and believe me, it does a few things exceptionally well.
And this, right here, is something everyone agrees on. The #1 most praised part of the V-Strom is its engine. Owners call it buttery smooth, incredibly refined, and just absolutely reliable. It's really the heart and soul of this motorcycle, and honestly, it's the main reason so many riders are willing to look past its flaws. Right, and that amazing engine makes it a phenomenal touring machine. On the highway, owners say the bike is absolutely planted, just giving them a huge amount of confidence. It's not just about being reliable, it's about how stable and just effortless it feels on a long trip. This is really where the V-Strom finds its true calling.
This phrase, "Paca Paisa Vasul," basically means total value for money, and it perfectly sums up how a lot of riders feel. Yeah, it's not the cheapest bike out there, but owners point to all these premium parts you usually only find on much bigger, more expensive bikes, like NK wheels and a high-quality DID chain, as proof that you're getting a really solid, well-built machine for your money.
So, to just wrap up all the good stuff in one place, you've got that fantastic buttery smooth engine that just loves to cruise in that 80 to 105 km/h sweet spot. You get superb stability, amazing fuel efficiency, really comfy ergonomics for those long days, and the service costs? Super reasonable. It's a pretty compelling package.
Okay, but of course it's not all perfect. It never is, right? For every post you see glowing about that engine, there's another one with a recurring list of complaints. So let's get into the stuff that consistently drives owners a little crazy.
And I'm telling you, there is one issue that stands head and shoulders above all the others. If you spend maybe 10 minutes reading through owner forums, you will see one word just pop up again and again. It is, without a doubt, the bike's single biggest weakness.
The suspension. Yep, the consensus is crystal clear. The suspension is stiff, like really stiff. It's definitely set up for the road, not for the trail. This is the V-Strom's Achilles heel, and it's the #1 reason owners say, hey, this is not a true adventure bike. It's a huge point of frustration, especially if your local roads aren't exactly perfect.
And this chart just perfectly illustrates the bike's split personality. On a nice highway, it's a dream. It just glides over stuff. But on bad city roads full of potholes, owners literally call it a pain in the arse. In fact, many people give a clear warning. If you have any lower back issues, or if your daily commute is just a mess, you should probably think twice.
So, beyond the suspension, there are a few other complaints that pop up all the time. The headlight? Pretty weak. Most people say you absolutely need auxiliary lights for night riding. The rear brake is often described as having absolutely no bite. The gearbox can be a bit clunky, and the clutch is known for being pretty hard to pull. Plus, the engine starts to feel a bit strained once you go above 120 km/h. And the final lottery, the quality of Suzuki's service centers can be, well, a bit of a roll of the dice.
But here's the really cool part. Owners don't just complain, they find solutions. The community has basically created this unofficial owner's manual, and it's packed with practical fixes and essential upgrades for all these common problems. Let's see how they make the bike better.
All right, first up, let's tackle the big one head-on. If that suspension is so stiff, what have owners figured out to make it better? The solution is actually surprisingly simple and a little bit counterintuitive.
You add weight. That's it. It turns out the suspension is actually set up to work best when it's loaded down, so when you're riding solo, it feels harsh. But throw a passenger on the back or a full top box, and owners swear it's a night and day difference. They say the bike suddenly just glides over potholes. Kinda weird, but it works.
And here's another awesome piece of community wisdom. This bike comes with a really nice premium DID chain. And this is a routine a veteran owner shared for keeping it in perfect shape. It's a super simple, effective, and cheap way to make sure a really important part of your bike lasts a long, long time.
Okay, so based on all those issues, a pretty clear list of must-have accessories has emerged. Crash guards are a no-brainer, aux lights are basically a necessity for riding at night, a top box is a double win, it helps fix the suspension and gives you storage. An aftermarket clutch helper is highly recommended for that hard clutch pull, and a taller windshield just makes highway riding that much more comfortable.
So, after weighing all the praise, the problems, and all those clever community-sourced solutions, where does that leave us? Let's put all this information together and figure out who this bike is really for.
The verdict from the community is clear. The Vstrom 250 SX is not a hardcore adventure bike. It's a sports adventure tourer, and the real emphasis there is on tourer. It's a fantastic machine for just eating up miles on paved roads, with just enough ruggedness to handle the occasional bad patch or a gravel road. Think of it more like a road bike that's dressed up for an adventure.
So, to make it super simple, here it is. The Vstrom litmus test, built from nothing but real owner feedback. This bike is for you if you're mostly on highways, you value that smooth, reliable engine above everything else. You're looking for a stable, long-distance machine, and you often ride with a passenger or luggage. Now, this bike is not for you if you need a true off-roader, your daily commute is a minefield of potholes, you have any back problems, or you're a speed demon who really needs to cruise comfortably above 120.
You know, at the end of the day, the Vstrom 250 SX is a bike of brilliant compromises. It gives up serious off-road ability for amazing on-road stability and comfort. It's definitely an underrated gem, but it's a conditional one. So the final question, and only you can answer this one, is whether its specific mix of strengths and weaknesses is the right compromise for the way you ride.